We want to read now from Molly's latest piece for Vanity Fair entitled, "Let's Not Sleepwalk into Another Trump Presidency." And Molly, you write in part this: the media isn't taking the former guy returning to power seriously enough. With the 2024 cycle in full swing, he's being largely covered like a normal candidate, rather than someone who tried to end democracy. One has to wonder why there isn't more coverage about Trump musing about sentencing the nation's highest-ranking general to death than, say, the age of the current president. Trump routinely attacked journalists during his 4 years in office, now eyeing a return to the White House. Trump is only ramping up the anti-press rhetoric by accusing a media company of country-threatening treason. As anyone who lived through the past 8 years can attest, you underestimate Trump at your own peril. Trump is not getting better. If anything, he's getting worse. I understand the mainstream media may be bored with the crazy, but our country is once again sleepwalking into disaster. And if journalists aren't clear about the stakes of a second Trump presidency, it will be, at least partially, our fault.
Well, and Molly, of course, we're quite aware here at this desk about Donald Trump threatening journalists. Mika talked about the face-shaming episode. He accused me of murder 12 times and suggested that I be tried for murder. Continued doing that because he was angry.
And that's had consequences in our life.
It's had significant consequences in our life. Matt Gaetz took conspiracy theories into Donald Trump in the White House, and Donald Trump gobbled them up, spit them out, and consequences be damned. But again, you know, it does democracy a grave disservice when he's going after reporters, like you said. Also, he's now saying that he's going to ban entire networks that he doesn't like. And a couple of weeks ago was talking about arresting Democrats, just randomly arresting Democrats after he got elected president of the United States. I always say this is like Orban, but no, Orban wasn't even this outspoken when he was running for office. I don't think Erdogan in Turkey is this outspoken when he's running for office. This is a guy who is mimicking Vladimir Putin, just saying the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, it's really scary. His plans for a second term are autocracy at best. I mean, he is really, really scary at this point. And I think that a lot of the mainstream media, the straight reporters, are worried about looking biased. And so they don't want to cover Trump, because if you cover him in this way that's accurate, you seem like a partisan because what he says is so insane. And I think that they are really worried. And look, conservatives have worked the refs, right? They have made it so that anytime there's a sort of unflattering Trump headline or unflattering, they say, well, this is obviously partisanship, and obviously the liberal New York Times, the liberal Washington Post. And so you really do see this sort of overcorrection. And I think that Trump is banking on that. And I do also think it's hard to cover this level of crazy. The mechanisms in traditional journalism are not made for someone who has absolutely no regard for truth.
And Molly, over a decade, he has numbed many people, his supporters, but also members of the media. So when he puts up a post that says, Mark Milley, decorated Joint Chiefs of Staff chairman, in better days, as Trump put it, would be hanged for treason, people go, oh, there he goes again. It's not no. So I think it's, as to your point, it's on us, it's on the media, it's on everybody to not be numb to it. Yeah. Just every time he does something like that, just say, no, this is not normal. We can't have our politics, our country, be like this. And
it gets lost in the shuffle. I mean, a week before, Trump went after liberal Jews on Rosh Hashanah, and that was like a crazy thing. If you're with us, you have to be with us. If you care about Israel, one of the most anti-Semitic tropes that you can get involved in, and it just was lost in the shuffle. And I do think people are really scared of swinging at every pitch. But if you don't draw attention to this craziness, Trump will get reelected, and it will be in some way our fault.
I have thought about this a lot. Meaning, I think that it was sort of true even prior to Trump that that the media could overcorrect in terms of covering Democrats versus Republicans as to not appear biased. But do you think that I feel like there's also an element that people don't want to feel duped again, like that they're shocked by what Trump did. There seems to be a reluctance to be shocked because then you seem naive, unsophisticated. I'm not like, what do you think that is?
I mean, I think, look, Trump got through, $2 billion of free media. Those were the estimates after 2016. So you don't want to cover him in this incredulous way where you're like, Trump says something racist. Oh, and you repeat the lie. Like, you do want to focus on the kind of truth sandwich element. You don't want to quote him incredulously. But I also think, this is like a 911 for democracy, right? Like,
totally.
There's nothing more important than keeping our democracy. And we saw with Trump's first season as president that, he barely ended, that presidency barely ended by his own will.
John, Republicans, particularly in the House, who've looked the other way on all that Donald Trump has done from January 6th, the continued lies about the election, all these indictments, have set up Hunter Biden as some sort of an equivalent to that. Press, why aren't you covering the Hunter Biden story the way that you covered January 6th, as if there's an equivalency there? That's how they're pitching it.
Yeah, it's whataboutism in the highest form. And to Molly's point, they have worked the refs. They claim bias. They claim prejudice from the media. If any time they've adopted Trump's philosophy that fake news does not apply to a story that's not true. It just applies to a story that's negative that he doesn't like. And that is now the sort of ethos of the Republican Party. And look, this is a challenge for the media. We I think largely fell down on the job in 2016 in many ways. Improved for 2020, no doubt. Realized you couldn't just take Trump live. You couldn't just put it in a tweet or a cable chyron. You had to provide fact checking. You had to provide context. You sometimes had to say, no, he's lying right now. And I think that we have done that. But we have a long way to go. It's not perfect. We've never had a candidate like this before, an insurrectionist candidate, someone who threatened to overthrow our democracy, and he can't be treated just like anybody else.
I agree.
Yeah, it took me a while. We hung up on him and started, again, and I've got to say, I don't know how anybody, and I've been called and people have asked me my opinion because we've known Trump for a long time. How do you interview Trump? You start by asking the question that a lot of people ask. And you have to ask this question. Is Joe Biden president of the United States? Do you still not believe that Joe Biden? And then you just hammer him. And you can't let it go on to economic development while this guy is still talking about stealing democracy and overturning a presidential election.
Because that's an acceptance of a lie. And you can't do that. That's a disservice to viewers or readers.
Yeah, we saw what happened when Mehdi had Vivek on. And he just kept going back to the same question over and over and over again because Vivek was just shooting all over the place, trying to distract, trying to move on to something else. We'll throw an insult out here. It's pure. It's straight out of the Donald Trump playbook. And you just can't do it. You have to stay focused on the issue at hand. And as we move forward, it is true that Trumpers have played the refs. And they're constantly playing the refs. And so, Molly, we got to go, but I just want to go back to you on this one because it's just the insanity of the playing of the refs on like the Hunter Biden laptop. I had somebody very well respected who in the media who, likes to think of himself as a truth teller, right? Oh, I'm going to tell the truth against what the mainstream media says. I'm progressive, but I'm a truth teller, right? And so after Donald Trump was contesting the election, he goes, yeah, that's bad. But what about Hunter Biden's laptop? I'm like, what? I'm sorry. We're in the middle of an American presidential election being stolen. Yeah, there have been articles written about Hunter Biden's laptop, and I sent him like 4 or 5, articles about Hunter Biden, and sent him articles that have been written in the past about Hunter Biden and some of the questionable business dealings he did going back to 2019, 2020, before the Biden campaign. And then after January 6th, the same emails. Yeah, you're talking about this so much. What about Hunter Biden's laptop? Well, I mean, you saw what YouTube did or so. And I'm like, okay, is there really no we talk about it. We've said the same thing over and over again. If Hunter did something wrong, like indict him, try him, convict him, send him to jail.
Yeah.
I'll write him a note and say, I'm sorry he's in jail. Just like I'll probably do with Donald Trump. But they keep doing it. After the nuclear secrets were stolen, after the war plans were stolen, it's always Hunter Biden. And I'm like, are you serious, truth teller? Like, truth telling without any perspective whatsoever. It reminds me of what George Orwell would write back during World War II, talking about how horrible democracy was. And all you had to do was talk to a fascist or a communist, and they would tell you how horrible democracy was. And Orwell would say, you know, some of their arguments are really true. And maybe we could take more faith in them if you put it in proper perspective. And you didn't realize that all these communists and fascists from across the world, once the first shots were fired in World War II, all fled to America and all fled to England and all fled to these democracies that they said were corrupt. Well, that's what I'm saying. There's no perspective here, but they play the refs ceaselessly. And a lot of people in mainstream media are stupid enough to fall for Bobby Knight working the refs and throwing chairs across the gym floor.
Right. And they're also scared. I mean, the media is a business like anything else, and people feel pressure to, you know, to sort of look like they're cutting it down the middle. I also agree. And look, Hunter Biden has been indicted. It's not like the guy is getting a free walk. He's being indicted on a very unusual federal gun charge. I mean, there is a lot of, you know, there's a lot of justice. These Republicans who say that the Merrick Garland Justice Department is not, you know, being even-handed. I mean, they are indicting Democrats left and right. So I don't think that that is really a story the same way they think it is. But again, like, the road to another Trump presidency is lined with false equivalencies.
And that's false equivalency. And even as the Wall Street Journal editorial page, there's smoke. There's no fire. They still haven't found fire. Comer hasn't found fire. None of them found fire. They go out saying stupid comments. You know, maybe there will be a connection at some point. If there's a connection at some point, fantastic. Show it to us. We'll report it on it. Yeah, but again, report Hunter Biden's laptop to the stealing of nuclear secrets, the stealing of a presidential campaign, the fraud on the massive level that we're learning about today in New York State, a judge in New York State calling Donald Trump a rapist. Go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And again, it's a false equivalency. And I would say the fact that we've talked about it now for 5-6 minutes, I suppose, means that working the refs works.
Yeah. Well, this is why Molly's piece is so important. Vanity Fair's Molly Jong-Fast, thank you very much. Everyone should take a look at her piece, especially in the industry of media and journalism.
Yeah.
President